Now, Executive Suites with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi, always glad to have you with us. Well, people are very familiar with some of the big companies around that are consumer-facing, as they say, CVS, Hasbro, but another one that's very high up on the Fortune 1000 list is FM Global. They're a major insurer, and we've talked about them before. We're going to get an update today from Tom Lawson. Tom is the chairman, president, and CEO of FM Global. Tom, you added chairman to your title since your last visit. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for coming in today.
Hey, great to be back.
So, as I said, I looked today. You are now number 534 on the Fortune 1000 list. You're kind of bubbling under the 5. Do you think you can get into the 500?
We'll see.
We'll see. He's smart. He doesn't
No promises.
He doesn't
We'll
want me
see.
to have the tape to say
Right.
to his policyholders whether it goes that way or not. Can you just talk about the scope and scale, the type of insurance work that you do at FM Global to get people sort of situated?
Sure. FM Global is a multinational insurance company. We have clients all around the world, and we're focused on providing insurance and really engineering solutions to help them mitigate their risk.
And the engineering solutions piece is interesting. We're going to talk about this because it's better for an insurer if the disaster isn't as disastrous, right?
It's better for everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
And so you're trying to help your clients to see if they can do things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our company was founded on the premise that the majority of loss is preventable. And so, as we might remember from last time, we don't have any actuaries, which is very different for an insurance company. And so our approach is really a science-based approach. And so we have research-based engineers who are research-based engineering that provide these not just assessments of the problem, but help a client understand it and then help them solve the issues.
And you mentioned your founding, and it's a great story because you can trace your history all the way back to the famous years when Rhode Island got its start as an industrial powerhouse back in the 19th century, right?
Absolutely, yeah. 1835, it was founded. Our founder was a mill owner. Textile mills was prominent in the area. But he was a little bit different. He was a really good engineer. He was, he was a business guy. And he wanted to make sure that his facility was safe because he knew if it was safe, he'd be in business and his competitors might not be. So he'd made a lot of great improvements for the time. He would bring the fire buckets in from the outside so they wouldn't freeze in the winter so he could put out a fire. And then he did some more smart things, went to his insurance company and said, hey, I did all these things. I'd like a break on my insurance. Of course, you know what the insurance company said, right?
No, thanks.
No way. Yeah. Sorry, Zachariah, we love you, but you've got to pay for all these other bad risks. So he went back and thought, this doesn't make any sense. So he got with a couple of his friends who also had mills, and they actually got together and formed the first mutual company in 1835 that was the predecessor for FM Global.
So all the way back, everything, how big you are today goes back to a frustrated mill owner.
A frustrated mill owner who wanted to make sure his facilities didn't burn down.
Where was his mill?
It's down just east of here.
Just east of here, where we're here in East Providence today.
Yep.
So as I said, you've been the board's made you the chairman along with President and CEO since your last visit. Your last visit, you'd actually just recently taken over CEO. I was looking back at our last conversation, and I'm just curious now. I talked to you then about what you've learned from your predecessor. Right. Now I'm curious what you've learned from you from your time so far as CEO. I mean, what's been the most surprising thing now that you're in the corner office? Now you're in the top seat. Not just advising the guy in the top seat.
The most surprising thing, well, it was my boss was actually right about what I was going to be involved in.
Really?
And it was one of the things that set the great expectations. It's and it's not a surprise. It's an awareness that you've got the best job in the world.
So you
got the best job in the world, and that's because we've got the best clients. We've got a great business model, which we've talked about, but the best clients, mostly the best people. And so it makes my job a real pleasure to do that. Not that we don't have our days, but no, it's been huge. And I think the other thing that really has noticed, especially in the last couple of years, is the pace of change is just unbelievable.
Really? How so? Talk about that.
Well, I think in our business is risk, right? We talked about risk. So the world continues to become riskier. So and it seems like with technology ramping up, it's an exponential growth as opposed to what it was maybe 10, 15 years ago.
That's fascinating because you'd almost think as we advance in our research, the engineering you folks do, all the innovation we see coming out, you'd think we might be de-risking a bit because we'd know about more risks, more ways to handle it, but it doesn't really feel that way from sitting at the guy worrying about what could go wrong.
Well, I think the good news is that while the world may be riskier, our solutions make our clients risk less. right? Which is a good thing.
So they need you even more.
So absolutely. So, but I think you can just think the topical things, whether it's the hurricanes, or natural hazards, or cyber, or political situations around the world. There's a lot of things that lead you back to the premise that resilient organizations do better in business.
That's a great segue. You'd be a good television host, because that segues right into my next question for you, which is, we're coming out of hurricane season when you and I are taping this, fall of 2018 here, and last year was estimated to be the costliest ever, as I understand it, for hurricanes and tropical storms. The New York Times reported $306 billion in damage. We're looking here, I think, at some of the recent damage from Hurricane Michael down in the Florida Panhandle, which was just astounding. So two of my colleagues were down there assisting one of our local stations, and we see the news every night, we work in the news, but they were still just stunned by what they saw when they got down there. How did not just Hurricane Michael, but this seemingly growing amount of damage, how is that affecting FM Global as you watch these hurricane seasons?
Well, it affects our clients. And our clients, as a multinational, we have clients in pretty much every natural hazard zone in the world. So I think the good news is you may not be able to prevent a hurricane or prevent a tornado, but you can prevent the damage. I mentioned our research, and our scientific-based approach allows us to give good advice to clients so that you can actually mitigate the disaster of a Class 5 hurricane. It can be built. Now, economically, it may not be practical everywhere, but you can do it.
Even a Category 5.
Even a Category 5.
Because you look at some of the damage we were looking at on Darren video, and you think to yourself, it looks like you saw a whole neighborhood just flat, and you think, well, there's nothing you can do, but you don't believe that.
No, absolutely not. I think we say the majority of loss is preventable, and that's true. Again, you can't prevent the Cat 5 hurricane, but you can't prevent the damage. But what it comes down to is making the practical choices about where your location is, how big the risk is, and how much risk a client wants to take. We have a huge number of success stories from especially last year, because it's 2017, whether it was Irma or Maria or Harvey, of clients who in previous storms had damage, made changes, and completed recommendations, and had minimal damage.
Is there a number one? Is it too specific to each one to say, or can you say there's one or two that often are things you tell everybody that winds up paying dividends when the next storm comes?
Sure. What you want to do is keep the building, especially for a windstorm, you want to keep the building envelope contained, because once the roof starts to come up, then the water comes in and the wind blows the roof off and bad things happen. So what you want to do is make sure your roof is secured. Flood, you want to be prepared. It's really the entire challenge with natural hazards is not knowing whether it's going to happen or not. We have maps, we have scientists, we can tell you that. It's about being able to make the planning ahead of time, so you can either make physical improvements, which we have many clients that do that, or have a great emergency organization to be prepared when the storm comes in. Because with the exception of earthquake, you have plenty of notice. So you have plenty of time to react. And then we've got success stories that prove out that before and after. Before they did it, it would have been a problem. After they did it, it wasn't. And in fact, what we found is that locations of our clients who had no recommendations in a windstorm have 5 times less the loss. Wow. And for flood, 4 times less.
So it really can make a big difference.
So it really does make a difference.
Is that something that, if we have to go to a break before I do, is that something, most people watching today will have more likely own a home, a single family home than a large industrial complex or something. Do you think that flows all the way down to someone at the homeowner level, that you can take steps in your neighborhood, with your own roof or whatever, to apply the same practices?
It's just, it scales down just the same. And a great example was, I think it was in Michael or Florence, I saw the picture on the beach of the one house that survived, that was on stilts. Great example. It wasn't necessarily built to the minimum. It was built to make sure that building was standing after the storm, and
they still have a house.
And it worked.
Yeah. All right, we come back. We're going to talk much more about all the things that can go wrong in life with FM Global Chairman, President, and CEO Tom Lawson. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi. We're talking today to the Chairman, President, and CEO of one of Rhode Island's biggest companies, FM Global, the big insurer, and that is Tom Lawson. Tom, we were talking before the break, really interesting about how you have seen that when you look out of that devastation in a hurricane, that you think a lot of that might have been preventable if some steps had been taken. I'm curious though, when when you're sitting there yourself or with your top executives and you're thinking about what are the big risks? What is it? Is it a tidal wave that hits London? Is it a tornado in the middle of Manhattan? I mean, what's the nightmare scenario, I guess, when you're trying to think about the risks that would really be tough for the insurance industry?
Well, I think what makes it tough for the insurance industry is a combination of events. So, we obviously, all companies, and I can just speak for mine, we do all kinds of analysis on the aggregations. What's going to happen to a hurricane that hits the East Coast, or what's the big earthquake in Pacific Northwest, or what's the big fire in London used to be, right? That's the old days. But it's really a simultaneous event between multiple natural hazards and something in the economy that happens. Because you're obviously, you have two things going on. You have your losses, which is what you're focused on, but you also have your investments. So you want to make sure that you have enough capital.
People have to understand that an insurance company, you're selling insurance, and you're in your case thinking about mitigation and everything, but then you're running a financial portfolio to invest the premiums you're getting, so you have the money, right?
Well, exactly. It's about having adequate surplus, because you need surplus to not just meet all your obligations in case of the big event. You want to be in business that next day to be able to continue serving your clients. And so it's a combination of
you don't want to run, you pay the last check and then you close the door. You want to be able to.
That's not enough. That's just step one. You need step two.
You need to still be there the following morning. That's a good point. Part of how we've been talking about mitigation, and my colleague TJ Del Santo, great guy, one of our meteorologists, he had a cool opportunity. He went to visit your research campus in West Greenwich, and I think for anyone who was ever a little boy who wanted to blow things up and set things on fire and see how things work, you're seeing some of the pictures here. You have a staff that kind of just does damage to things and sees what happens and tries to look at what could be better. Talk about what the use is of this facility for FM Global.
Well, the research campus is really, and research in general, is the fundamental, it's the foundation to our business.
Is this a cannon we're looking at?
That's the famous 2x4 cannon.
So what's he shooting that at?
Well, he's shooting it at plywood, and it's meant to simulate a debris being blown around in a hurricane. And so the simple part of that is that if you have a half-inch plywood nailed to your wall or windows, the 2x4 is going to go right through it. So what we tell people is, scientifically, we know that if you have a 3/4 inch piece of plywood, that the 2x4 will bounce off. The problem is, when you're getting ready to protect your facility or your house, what happens? Everybody goes to the department or the building supply store and buys all the 3/4 inch plywood. So you show up, all that's left is half-inch. What we tell people is just put 2 layers on.
We have another one. We have, I think we have them testing hail. I think my producer tells me from TJ's visit. Here we go. What are they doing here?
Yep, same thing. They're blowing ice up against the window
to see in a winter storm.
In a winter storm, in a hailstorm, because hail is a huge exposure.
Really?
Not just to roofs, but also to windows. And I think the test you're looking at is probably the wind blown hail that and we actually work with and certify products. You can put film on your windows, for example, to make sure that the hail bounces off as opposed to going through.
Do you ever go down after a frustrating day and just explode something to get it out of your system?
Well, I'd love to. I actually, that's the reason. The research campus is the reason I moved to Rhode Island.
Really?
That's how I came up to work on that project.
To work and getting that done. How long has it been open?
We christened the new facility. The grand opening was 2003.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, and it's been there for a while. That's a fun one. I've got to get a tour there someday. You've also opened a new facility, a different kind of facility in downtown Providence. What's that office for, different from what you have in the other places?
Let's focus on innovation. We've been a pretty innovative company. I mean, the first innovation was the mutual company back in 1835, I guess you could say. Well, we've evolved our engineering services and our research and our policies for years, and but that's all been kind of inside the organization, inside the industry. So we really wanted to find a way to get exposure to outside technology, outside practices, separate from insurance, that we might be able to in turn apply to what we're doing. So we put a group together from within the company, took them off their day jobs and created a separate independent unit, and they're focused on doing that. So they're looking at different kinds of technology that we may not have been exposed to in the past, that we may be able to in turn turn into value for our clients. So as a result of that, we wanted to move them out of the corporate headquarters into their own facility, but also get it closer to where a lot of that action is. And downtown Providence is a great location for entrepreneurs and startups. And now,
you have more of those tech companies coming in and
absolutely
everything.
Right.
Yeah,
so that's where they're at.
A little easier to get the young geeks to want to be downtown.
As opposed to the suburbs. Absolutely.
Yeah, the suburban campus thing.
Well, I can't blame them. I wouldn't mind being down there either.
Once they have kids in a minivan, they might come out to the suburbs with you, though.
With us, right.
One other question before we go to a break on, you mentioned earlier when you were talking about risks, one of the ones you mentioned was cyber. People, it's so easy to just think about hurricanes and fires and those kind of physical destructions, but that cyber is a real concern now for you as an insurer, right?
Exactly. Cyber is a concern for everyone. It's one of those algorithmically expanding exposures, right? I mentioned the world's getting riskier. Well, cyber is the poster child for that. And we've been dealing with cyber well, back before they called it cyber. We dealt with it in a policy. But, about 4 years ago, we decided to treat it more like our normal exposures, fire, windstorm. And what that means is you do the research, you assess the risk, you help your clients understand it, and then you help them mitigate it. And so earlier this year, we actually formed a dedicated cyber unit, brought in some experts from the outside that we've dispersed around the world. And they come from places you would expect, the government, military, people who are honest to goodness cyber experts to help our people. We've rolled out a couple of new products, and we're continuing to do so. So it's really the fundamental focus is to provide the same type of advice for cyber and mitigation solutions that we do for earthquake or
Before we go to a break, is there a number one thing that's coming out of that research? You say everyone should be doing this as a first step.
Well, it's funny, it's a pretty fundamental piece, and the fundamental first piece is keep people out of your system physically. Most people think about the hacker coming in.
Yeah, I'm thinking of someone in Russia or something.
Right, there's all kinds of things to do that, but you'd be surprised at the amount of prevention that can occur just by physically keeping people in areas or out of areas they shouldn't be in.
Interesting. That's okay. We'll have to remember where we keep our laptop at night then. All right, we're going to talk more after the break with Tom Lawson, chairman of FM Global. We're going to talk about the partnership for Rhode Island and how Rhode Island's business climate is. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and I'm talking today with Tom Lawson. He is the chairman, president, and CEO of FM Global, the big insurer. They are now number 534 on the Fortune 1000 list, bubbling under, as they say in the Billboard charts, the Fortune 500, getting in there. So we'll keep track of if you crack it. You mentioned one other risk I want to ask you about, especially because we're taping this during political season. You mentioned you also have to look for your clients at political risk, and that might surprise people, just the same way cyber does. What are you looking at there? When you talk about looking at political risk to your clients?
Well, political risk to our clients usually in the terms of the resilience of the country they're in. So is the infrastructure sound? Is there an impact to poverty, crime, corruption, those types of things? So really, you're looking at, is it safe to operate in that country from a political risk? Unlike the political discussions that are going on in the States right now.
Right, not so much a debate about where the policy goes, but more like, so it's fundamentally more about governance. Governance
and making sure that you can be a great manufacturer, but if you're in a climate or environment that is not conducive to business or is more or less obstructive to business, then that's a risk too.
Let's bring it back home while we talk about the business climate. So Rhode Island, as I said, you're one of the biggest businesses in Rhode Island. How are you feeling at FM Global right now about the business climate in Rhode Island? Do you think it's moving in the right direction, in the wrong direction? What's your gut take right now on it?
Actually, pretty positive. It's having my timing in this job, just like our first conversation, it's been about 4 or 5 years, and so I've seen a lot of things different now than they were 5 years ago. I think the good thing about the candidates as they go forward in the governor's race, for example, is they're looking at the same issues. They're looking at being a good place to live and work for Rhode Islanders. They're looking at education. They're looking at infrastructure, and I think those are important. Obviously, each candidate has their own opinion on how to deal with that, but I think those are key. As a business, someone who directs a business, those are the same things we look at. We're very supportive of education in Rhode Island. Because that leads to not just an educated workforce, but a lot of good job skills. Plus, I have people who want to relocate to Rhode Island if that's the case. Infrastructure, that ties directly in with the education concept. I mean, you need good teachers, and you need good management, but you also need good facilities. So it's hard to learn in a building where you don't have good heat or air conditioning or the roof leaks, right? So I think the infrastructure program, and I think that's something that is different now than it was 4 years ago. I mean, I think the bond program that's been proposed, it's on the ballot next week. And I'm part of a group called the Partnership for Rhode Island.
Just going to ask you about that. So this was recommended, I remember, by the Brookings Institution when they did a big study of what did Rhode Island need to be more economically dynamic, and they said one thing was you need other states. They pointed, for example, Massachusetts have sort of a group of their big company CEOs where they all get together, not too often, I assume, because you're all pretty busy with your day jobs, but can kind of and have both the clout and the capital to like do something about it if they want to tackle a problem. I know you're on there, Larry Merlo from CVS, Brian Goldner from Hasbro, Brian Moynihan from Bank of America, about a dozen all together. How has that been going? Has it been? Are y'all yelling over each other since it's a bunch of CEOs together?
No, actually, it's a fairly cohesive group.
Yeah.
Actually, it's because we're all after the same things, and obviously we all have opinions, as you might guess. But I think that it's a non-political group that's really focused on making Rhode Island a great place to live and work. And so all the things that I mentioned before, what this group does is it gives us the opportunity to actually double down on the things that are happening. So what's positive for us is having the ability to get behind some of these initiatives that make sense. Not politically motivated, it's just it's the right thing to do, because at the end of the day, if all of those things get done, then Rhode Island becomes a more attractive place for business, which attracts more people, which is good for everybody. It's good for the economy. So I think that's what I've started to see probably the last 4 or 5 years that we didn't used to have, we have now.
And when you get back to your own desk back there at FM Global after a partnership meeting, maybe, do you ever contemplate maybe we'll have to look at putting the headquarters somewhere else? I'm sure a lot of states would love to attract FM Global there. Have you ever considered that, or do you feel firmly committed to keeping the company here?
No, we'll be here forever. We made that decision several years ago, and it's but for all the reasons I mentioned. I mean, it's there are always things that can be better. There's always things we can improve on. But I think as things are moving in the right direction, it's a very receptive business community. It's been very receptive administration at the state level. They're always asking what they can do to help, as opposed to in some states you don't find that. So no, we're very happy with being Rhode Island, mostly because that's where our people are.
Looking ahead,
that's what makes us successful.
Looking ahead, 2019, right around the corner. What are you excited about? What do you think is going to be a big part of your FM Global? What are you going to be mitigating? What's coming next year?
Well, hopefully we'll be mitigating a lot.
Right, yeah.
Right. But no, I think we'll continue to really push this innovation to the next level. I mean, part of their charge is to give us lots of opportunities to say yes or no. So we'll have some of that. We've continued to increase our predictive analytics capability. So not only are we able to tell clients what their exposures might be in terms of risk assessment, we're actually able to tell them at which locations it's most likely to happen and which recommendations they can do to most likely prevent their loss. And so to be able to help them change their future, you have to be able to tell them what their future might look like. And that's what we're doing with analytics.
Maybe we should send you to FEMA to give them a little advice on some of the projects they do after these storms. All right, Tom Lawson, Chairman, President, CEO of FM Global, thank you for joining me.
Ted, always a pleasure.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us this week for this conversation. And as you know, you can get every episode of Executive Suite on WPRI.com. You can also hear it on the radio Sunday nights at 6:30 p.m. on WPRO. So a lot of ways to keep up with the show. We'll see you back here next week on Executive Suite.